No, I'm good.
Okay, a very good morning to all our dear listeners. I think we are going live in about, so just hold until the bumper plays and then we go live afterwards. Welcome to ACFIM Talks, our weekly talk show. My name and the host for today is Felix Kafuma, and in the studio I'll be introducing our guests shortly, but before we start, I'm encouraging each one of you to quickly go on our YouTube channel and then you subscribe. Also, you can follow us live on Facebook, ACFIM, and also live on Twitter at ACFIMUG. So please take this moment, encourage everybody else to subscribe to our YouTube channel, ACFIM Uganda, so that you could be able to get the notifications and be part of the ACFIM family. Today is Friday, 2 days after a new government has been sworn in. It's the same faces, but they're having another mandate, thanks to all of you who participate. And we are going to discuss nothing other than what are our expectations as Ugandans for the newly sworn in government. So on Wednesday, it was all pomp and flair at Kololo grounds, and the head of state was sworn in. We also expect Parliament to be swearing in, I think, the following week. So in summary, the electioneering has ended, and it's time to get back to business and see out the next 5 years. So once again, you are most welcome to ACFIM Talks. In the studio, I have a youth. He's a member of Youth Connekt Uganda. It's an initiative under the UN in Uganda in partnership with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. He is a scholar. He holds a bachelor's degree in law and postgraduate diploma in legal practice. So we have some legal brains in the house. He's also a fellow at the Center for Strategic Litigation and is undergoing training in public interest litigation. His area of expertise or specialization is labor law and international law. Probably we shall talk about those remarks the president made, taking a swipe at our good friends, the Europeans and the Americans. What does that mean to our how we relate with our international neighbors? Then he's also been part of many various leadership and governance spaces and platforms. He's an advocate for youth participation in leadership and governance. You are most welcome, Muganga Ambrose Ibabaza.
It's my pleasure to have me here. Good morning, our viewers and listeners.
Okay, for anybody who is just joining us, this is ACFIM Talks, and we are discussing what should we expect in the newly sworn in government that is just 2 days old in office. When they were campaigning, they were very clear on what they wanted to do for Ugandans under the tagline, securing your future. They did intimate that, yes, they will secure our future by creating jobs and wealth. And I remember the president during the inauguration speech showing how he intends to create jobs and also increase the wealth of Ugandans to take us to the middle income status he promised us back in 2016. So again, it brings it back here, but wrapped differently. You've all been hearing about the MIOGA, the parish model, and all those initiatives. Okay, still to secure our future, they do promise to deliver in the next 5 years, education and health. They also promise to ensure justice and equity, There are discussions around that. They also promise protecting life and property, and finally achieving economic and political integration. Now, for some of you who are seeing this manifesto, the manifesto for 2021, 2026, I need also to pay in attention to the manifesto of 2016 and 2021, which was under the tagline Steady Progress. The reason why I'm doing this is that because it's important before we start the discussions, we understand where we are coming from. So, the 2021-2026 under the tagline of Securing Your Future has 5 golden, are they 5? I think they're 5. 1, 2, 3,
yeah, there
4.
are 5. There are 6.
5. There are 6. It has 6 golden targets or promises made to Ugandans. But the one of 2016-2021 had, let me see, allow me to count. 1, 2, okay, let's go together. It had peace and stability, that was 1. It had good governance, democracy and security. And I remember there were promises to increase participation, empowerment and youth, promote freedom of speech and worship, hold regular, free and fair elections, and also consolidate equity. That was under good governance and democracy and security. The third one was corruption. And I think there will be a very interesting discussion around how they fared on corruption. Did we do any better? I remember the president conducting a corruption walk sometime last year. And then the 4th was growth and development. The 5th was youth and women. Under there, he pledged to create special fund for women, a special fund for youth, put in place a good environment for opportunities and create jobs for youth, including skilling. The 6th was agriculture, looking at value addition, mechanization, operation wealth creation. The 7th was education. The 8th was health. In health, maybe I may remind some people who had forgotten, he promised to increase the investment in the sector in terms of infrastructure, but also promised to introduce universal health insurance scheme and ambulance services. Okay, how did we fare on that one? The 7th was water and sanitation. 8th was infrastructure, where they talked about paving. In fact, their target in 2016 was to pave 2,025 kilometers from 4,000. Okay, so in a nutshell, it meant that we by Wednesday, NRM ideally should have tarmacked 6,000 kilometers. It also had promised to construct more bridges, over 100 bridges under infrastructure. So the 9th was harnessing natural resources. 10th was international and regional cooperation. 11th was private and public sector institutional development. 12th was culture. 13th was entertainment, and 14th was lands, housing, and urban development. Talk about land evictions, and you all remember that famous commission on lands that was led by Justice Bamgerere. So you can see that 2016-2021 was quite ambitious. We have about 15 golden promises. In 2021-2026, they are reduced to 6. Sorry. So now, let's get the conversation started. First of all, Ambrose.
Yes.
From your perspective, as a youth, what is your assessment of Museveni's 5th term overall? Because now we're in the 6th term.
I would say that his 5th term was quite a bumpy one. If I was going to give him a percentage, I would give him 50%, 50-50. I would like to start on the point of international and regional cooperation in the manifesto of 2016-2021. In that, I would start on trade, regional trade. You know, 2 years back, if I can recall well, we have been having blockages of borders. The recent one is maize going to Kenya, and in the recent past we had the one of Rwanda blocking the borders,
and still locked,
and are still locked. So in that field, I would say he has failed. Let me be frank, he has failed on that, because up to now, there's no way you can convince a maize farmer in Nakasongola, in Masindi, that you can again take your maize to Kenya, or you can take your sugarcane farmer in Busoga, you can take your sugarcane in Kenya, because all of them have been banned. So in that, and there's no solution actually, because they block news, that it's all over the news. They meet, we don't know what they talk about. The trade ministers meet, and then they end from there. So there's no solution to that. So in that one, I would say he has at least failed. Not at least, but he has failed. And then my assessment on youth and women, there was that fund of women fund in districts, and then the youth livelihood fund. And I don't know why they like changing names from youth livelihood then to Emyoga. Then I saw the same thing. And yes, some youth have benefited, I would say. Projects are running, but there is no backup plan for it. If I can borrow from the parish development model they have come up with now, they have got the money from youth livelihood, is not going to be in the parish model. So where are you living in youth livelihood? So I would say there's no backup plan. The project is okay. The implementation still lacks, but there is no backup plan for these projects they come up with. That's where the problem is. They implement, they go. I remember some time back when Honorable, I've forgotten her name. She was the Minister of Gender when she was moving around, inspecting or supervising how the Youth Livelihood Fund was going, how the projects were going. She could reach an area and you find that the money is not there. They gave them the money, the chairperson ran out with the money, or they didn't do anything. And those are the reports. And they came back, made a report, and then they sat there. They didn't do a follow-up. So I would say they have, as the government, they come up with nice ideas, but then they lack the implementation and then the backup plan for it. So you find the project comes, it reaches in the middle, it stops. No one follows up. No one wants to know what is going on. The funds are embezzled by even district leaders or local council leaders, and then it stops, it dies from there. So if they have those backup plans or those implementation strategies, that if we implement like this, we can get these results, then that will be a very good project. So on youth and women, they've tried, I would say. You talked about universal insurance scheme.
Under the health.
I've not seen it work. I saw it in the manifesto and I stopped there. I don't see why it is implemented. I don't see why it is okay. I don't see its effects on the ground. Maybe if they say it's for the VVIP or the VIP, but if it was for the local person in my village in Imbarara, then I don't know if they got what they wanted from that project. And then on land housing and urban development, the Justice Lamgemere Commission, I would say they did a good job, and I've seen its recommendations. And I read in a revision some time back that the president wants the cabinet to first work on those recommendations from the commission. That commission did a good job, but it left out some part of making people liable, making people who be liable for, because now I remember this investor in Muvende, is it Muvende? Yeah, in Muvende, Bid Alam, that's his name. He was arrested, and then out of nowhere, he's out on bail, nothing is going on. And yes, the commission had the power to arrest and then charge someone, but now there are arrests and people are out. The culprits are out, and then the people remain there. And now you had the commission, but now land evictions are going on, and now it has gone worse from land evictions. now to encroaching on environment.
Yes.
So if we are now coming from, if you, in your manifesto you're saying you want to improve on land housing and urban development, but now the evictions are going on and now you're encroaching on the environment, then what do you want us to understand? What do you want us to say? Because forests are going, swamps are going, investors are coming in every day. And I don't know the logic behind investment and natural resources. Why can't they give them bare land? I know. If investor comes, it takes on the swamp. If the investor comes, it takes on the forest. What is the logic behind? You know?
It's because there is no bare land.
Now, if there's no bare land, then let's keep our resources. Because I know they will argue, we want to improve our economy, and then we want investors to come and then improve our economy. But now investors come, we are not seeing their fruits. There is that there is repatriation, like they get the money and then take them back to their countries. And now, if they would have encouraged the local investors, that is okay. But now you bring foreign investors, take on our resources. The natural resources are being forests are being cut. We don't have an explanation to that. So then on that, on land and housing, because now evictions are going on, people are now encroaching on natural resources. There's no way you can convince me that at least you've done something on that. No. Then
agriculture.
Agriculture
talks about value addition and mechanization of including, I think that's where we find operation wealth creation.
Yes, that's where you find operation wealth creation. That's where you find, I don't know if NAD still exists, or it was taken over by operation wealth creation. Farmers are now benefiting, but the mechanization is there. But now what they have to do is now to bring in technology in agriculture. You do mechanization, use tractors, use what, but now you bring in people go, okay, I would use the Nakasongola and Nakasongola, people do maize a lot into Yandong on that side. They use tractors, but now they have gotten their maize. Where are they going to put their maize from? Instead of exporting the maize, instead of exporting maize, let them add value and export.
The value addition.
The maize flour. The mechanization, they have done it. They are trying to do it, but now there is lack of value addition is still lacking. The value addition is still low. Is still very low. Also, I don't understand the operation wealth creation because I thought it was benefiting Ugandans, but during my course of work, I met someone from operation wealth creation, and he said their role is to get investors and then give them where to work from. So they're the ones that do the marketing for investors. So imagine that's the part of operation wealth creation. So if you do that your work is to do marketing for investors, then you're leaving out the local investors here in Uganda, local Ugandans who want to do investment in agriculture. So a mechanization they have done, but now they have to improve on
the value addition.
On value addition.
Comment on corruption because that is actually corruption was their third golden goal for the 2016-2021.
The corruption, I think the third golden goal, and it's the most thing that the president normally talks about that he's going to fight. But we are not seeing the results. I know we have now Financial Intelligence Authority. We have the State House Anti-Corruption Division. Then we have IGG. Those are three institutions that can be okay for the Financial Intelligence Authority. That is under the under financial institutions, money laundering and other things. But now focusing on corruption, you're having the State House headed by I think that is now a major. Edith. And then you have the IGG. Up to now, we don't have a substantive IGG.
Yes.
You have acting. So, and now what I have seen the president is now ignoring the IGG. They're now focusing on the State House. So, and now most of the times when there is a corruption, he says, "Oh, I will send Nakayama to go there." That's what he says, but not saying I will forward this to the IGG. So he has created many
pyro structure.
a party structure that is doing nothing. Corruption is increasing, and then you see, because on corruption, at least they have failed. No, corruption they have failed totally. Because now, remember the COVID fund, people, this news like money disappeared. How can the money disappear when the money is supposed to do something and the money has disappeared? So on corruption, they have not. They have failed. They have failed to do.
Okay, so now, so on that matter, let's do it like this. What are the top 3 achievements from 7?
Top 3. The top 3 achievements. The one achievement I could say that he did is that he has done much on reducing the spreading of COVID-19.
Okay.
There I give him a tick. Infrastructure roads, he has tried to work on the roads. Although Kampala is now, the roads are now bumpy. The roads in Kampala are now messy, but in the roads he has done, because even now district where you go, they are doing roads. Okay. And now in industrialization, he has done much on industrialization. He was opening, I think, during his campaign, he was opening at least a factory in every district or wherever you could go.
In fact, they boast of having opened 5,000 more. Yeah, 5,000 more industries in the previous term. Okay, then the top 3 failures?
Top 3 failures, number 1 is corruption.
Okay.
Yes, that one is clear.
Yes.
Then number 2 is on human rights.
Human rights.
Yeah, he has failed to observe human rights. That's what that there, and then he has failed totally. And then rotating the economy.
Okay.
Inflation, then the economy is doing bad. Also, there's a lot of things to be worked upon.
Wow, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. So if you know, at the during the inauguration ceremony, I think his first speech, he was very clear on what he's going to focus on in this Sanja, which is under the tagline "Securing Your Future."
The future, yes.
And I remember he laid a lot of emphasis on focusing on the economy to create jobs and wealth. In fact, he was quick to say, "I will create jobs and wealth on using 3 approaches. One is commercial agriculture. Again, agriculture comes back. Then industrialization. Again, that one comes back. And then through services and ICT. So what should we read into Museveni's focus this time round? As
on commercialization of agriculture, if they do value addition and then they do it very well to how it's supposed to be done, there is okay. Because people are now into agriculture. They have realized the importance of agriculture. People had just left the village to come to town, but now they're going back to town to do agriculture. So if there is value addition, and then there are incentives they provide. If they provide incentives for Ugandans, that if you have your produces, then you want to add value, the government can help you and do help you on this part, and then for you add on this part. So that one can be very brilliant. I know there's an institute on I think it's around Nakawa. I've forgotten it's in research institute. Yes, very few people know about it. But if that institute can go, instead of waiting for people to come to eat, it goes to the people, the farmers, and train them on value addition in agriculture, then that will be okay. Industrialization. Our president, I think his best area is industrialization, because he talks about it every day. And industrialization, it comes with giving jobs. It will be okay to give jobs. There are many, actually, most industries here, there are many youth actually. Not even many youth are there industries. Because being a labor lawyer, I sometimes go to those mediations to those industries, and I see what is there. But what is lacking there, I would say, is human rights, focusing on human rights in business. I would say human rights in business, or business human rights.
The pay. People complain of the pay.
People complain of the pay, and then again, people complain of the working conditions.
The working conditions are also not good, yeah.
are not also not good because people get injuries. I get people with injuries almost every day. Yeah, so if they also train these investors at yes, you're coming to Uganda, invest, create industries, give our youth employment, but treat them as if they are your countrymen. Because I don't think the Chinese will treat Ugandans as Chinese. They treat Ugandans as, because I remember some time back when one of the Chinese investors said Ugandans are lazy people. Uganda don't lazy people just because they put them on pressure. Because I was talking to one client and he told me that they put them on pressure and then they end up making mistakes. So if the industrialization is there, yes, but now they not focus on employment of the youth or the people, but they focus on the well-being of the employed people. Let them go and do inspections. Let them go and see how those people are in the industry, because they do give an investor land and then it stops there. They don't do a follow-up to see how people are doing there.
But the problem with the industrialization policy in Uganda, it tends to concentrate more or focus more on the foreign investors and forgets the local investors, the SMEs, and support and nurture the small medium enterprises that are employing majority of Ugandans. So I think there's a problem there with the policy as well.
Yeah, there's a problem there with
application.
There's a problem there with the policy, and I think the association because I remember I think they have an association SMEs. They have a body that relates to them. I think some of them they don't fight for their rights. Let me say, because they have seen many investors coming, and then they have kept quiet. They have not said, "Oh, you bring in investors, foreign investors," but now what about us with small businesses, small medium enterprises? So we find that the investors are now suffocating the people with SMEs. So I think the policy has to be revised so that they change it to focus on SMEs, to improve on the welfare of the local business people.
On the local, yes. But there's some, you talked about services, and sometimes this is one of the areas where you see the double standards of government. Let's just take an example of the tourism industry. Very big potential, but with less investments from government. And then they talk about investing in ICT. But you can't talk about investing in ICT when you have laws that are non-progressive towards enabling ICT to blossom. So what's your take looking at these areas of focus as engines to grow the economy and create jobs, whether this is realistic?
Let me first talk briefly about ICT. COVID-19 has shown Uganda, the government, that it's very poor in ICT. So, and now instead of regulating it in a way that people benefit from ICT, they're now imposing more taxes on the services, on those services of ICT. So, my take on if this is realistic. We have, because now agriculture is back from 2016 to 2021. They have not addressed what has failed, but now they have come back with the same thing, thinking that this time it will work. So if they address, because what they have put here is all what was in the last manifesto, services and ICT. They have the whole ICT ministry, and I think the problem is they don't appoint technocrats in those ministries or in those departments. You cannot bring someone with a BBA to manage an ICT ministry.
The argument is that those are political appointments.
But political appointments, you cannot have a political appointment and then you think a politician will do what is supposed to be done. I think we have all seen what appointing a technocrat has done to the Minister of Health, Dr. Ruth Acheng.
Yes.
She has done a tremendous job. So if they can borrow idea from there and then bring it in other ministries, that one will work. So if they first address what failed in the 2016-2021 manifesto, and then if they bring this back, what new thing are they introducing? Because you cannot bring something, services and ICT, and then you say, and then again you're bringing a tax on data. School children do not have computers. Most government ministries, they don't understand what ICT is, because you find the government ministry has last updated its website in 2018. So those are the things that they have to address, because
some of them don't even know how to use ICT gadgets like tabs. But we'll be going for a break in about 5 minutes. But before we go for a break, there's a question here, and I want to pick it up from the comment. Abel made a comment online that government has to walk the talk and fight corruption. And looks like corruption is the bigger demon in the room right now. You see, the previous Chisanja was actually, it had the moniker Chisanja Hakuna Mchezo. And everybody thought, okay, maybe this is it. This is it. Because when he was campaigning in 2016, one of the issues that angered many Ugandans remained unsolved was the issue of corruption. Not that even in 2011 it was not there, but I think he was confronted with unanswered questions about how government went about corruption and the ramifications corruption had on the image of NRM as a party and the performance. So we looked up to the new tagline, Chisanja Hakuna Mchezo. 5 years down the road, during his inauguration speech, he spoke tough again about fighting what he called slothfulness of government workers. Again, partly trying to show that he's now more than ready in trying to confront corruption. So, but what does it take? What should it take for the president to actualize these whole things he has highlighted in the manifesto and the things he talked about when he was being sworn in? What does it take? Because our neighbor Tanzania did it somehow. What must Uganda do? What does Museveni have to get right to get these things done?
One thing that he would do is to get rid of the untouchables in his government, because there are many untouchables in his government, and he just looks on like someone comes and says something, and then he embezzles the money. Then the government looks on. Yet he was tough at first, and then later, one thing I've seen on him that he sometimes plays a blame game. You sent me these ministers, you sent me these MPs, you did this. So, and you wonder, you're the president, why can't we have these ministers take them out and then bring in new blood and do what is supposed to be done? So I think the president needs to be more rigorous, needs to be more serious, and he needs to be more at least to facilitate the institutions that are mandated to fight corruption. The IGG has not been, the Inspector of Government has not been having a substantive IGG. I think it's now coming to 2 years.
Yeah, it's coming to 2 years.
It's coming to 2 years without an IGG. So what do you expect them to do? And even the Human Rights Commission is now coming to, I think, 1.5 years without a chairperson. So it needs to bring those appointments so that they become effective, first of all. But secondly, facilitate them, because sometimes they don't have money. So what is there is also taken by also the employees of the IGD themselves. So you find in the IGD there's corruption in the office of the IGD itself. So we need to have those things facilitated enough. Then create a platform that if any person that, whether you're a minister, whether you're the president's son or whoever, that we not give a blind eye.
You're not above the law.
You are not above the law. I remember on the Grotion, they were interviewing Honorable Jim Weza, and he was talking about corruption. And the reply, it was on Twitter, and then the reply by the FDC Twitter handle was like, interviewing corruption, talk about corruption. So you see, those are the things that, we know what Honorable Jim Wezi did, and then again he's now the MP, and surprisingly to come as a minister. So if those untouchables are now ruled out, you bring in new blood that is ready to work, ready to enforce the policies, ready to to do what they can do so that the government runs very well, corruption is rooted out, then that would be the best.
But let me play the devil's advocate here. The cabinet of Museveni, the outgoing, probably because he has not yet appointed a new cabinet, I might say, is kind of has a couple of new faces, young, some bit of young blood. The same arguments you're raising, the likes of Anite, the Tumwebas, a couple of young people have, the known names. So to say so, that he needs to put in place new faces bring on board new faces in cabinet. I think he has done that. But I think that's why he argues that I think the communities where we pick these people is where the problem is. I don't know what else can he do. I understand the frustrations Ugandans have, because if you're head of state, you're expected to crack the whip and take stern decisions. If possible, fire. If possible, in prison, like our friends in Rwanda do it. But it doesn't seem to be happening that way, and corruption remains the main monster. It's that stain, but it's not also only unique to Uganda. Even Kenya is grappling with the same.
Yes.
What is it that Museveni must do decisively to address this problem in this next 5 years? Because if you tell him to fight corruption, some have argued that corruption and NRM are like Siamese twins. If you separate one, the other one will die. I don't know whether we should get to a point of having such conclusions. Is it possible for Museveni to lead this country without corruption in the mix? Okay, without the magnitude of corruption we are facing in the mix?
No, that's why I say no. It's not possible, because now I think that it all comes from the electioneering process. People put in a lot of money in elections.
Okay.
Now, when they put in a lot of money, they expect that money to come back. With interest, mind you, with interest. I don't know where they get interest from. So if someone puts 100 million in elections, he expects to get 100 million. So he's like, when I become an MP, I'll get this money. But if the president appoints me a minister, I will first enrich myself, then think about others later. So the whole thing starts with putting, because if now we say no more money in elections, if there's a policy say no more money in elections, you go campaign, people like you, if they don't like you, full stop. If you start with that, and then people come, they know that they have come on merit, they will do, and they know that they have appointed on merit, they will know that they have to work on merit at any time they are weeded out. Because I had rumors that to be appointed the minister, you have to approach State House with something. So if that stops, like let us not involve money in leadership, in politics and leadership. Because if you put money in leadership, you're biasing what people bring.
So the point you're making here is that the process through which we get leaders is where the problem is.
Because the problem starts from.
Wow, very interesting discussions. Very interesting discussions. For those of you who are just joining us, we have Muganga Ambrose sharing his thoughts, looking at what should we expect as Ugandans in this new Chisanja. The president was sworn in on Wednesday, and we are up and about trying to make sense of the speech, trying to make sense of the manifesto, trying to locate the previous manifesto if there are things that probably were not handled that have been smuggled into the new manifesto, and trying to locate our hopes to say, okay, in the next 5 years, how do we as Ugandans perceive the promises made and what are our expectations? So my other question that I want to throw to you is around this tagline of socio-economic transformation, which kind of like has been the main heartbeat of his campaigns for 2016, 2021. Is it a realistic aspiration? Because when you look at the bottlenecks, which you partly talked about, that made us fail to achieve the middle income status. I don't think they have been addressed. Things like already, when you look at our debt portfolio, we're not doing very well. Our taxation, our tax base is not necessarily very promising. I think we are taxing the same. We are taxing the same areas. We have not kind of like broadened our tax base. COVID has had its fair share of effects also on how far we can grow as a country. When you look at the wastage of resources, what we've just been discussing, we don't seem to be doing better in that area. Corruption is still one of the biggest challenges of this regime. So we have a bloated public administration. They are talking about streamlining government agencies, but how soon this can be actualized, we don't know. The things that are putting us where we are have not been addressed. So, and someone comes with the new tagline, socioeconomic transformation, and is how realistic is this, looking at the fact that what should take us there, the road that should take us there, still has potholes?
Well, on the socioeconomic transformation, I don't think they have done enough, and since they have brought the same things they had in the last term, sometimes they bring in things, and you wonder, did they first discuss about this before they bring it in the manifesto? And you see the policy, they don't have the implementation strategy. Like, the thing is just, I think they just put it there for Ugandans to read, and they say, oh, they want to do this. So if they work on their implementation strategy, and then they focus on areas, if we were saying socio-economic transformation, in the economic sector, which areas would you prioritize to improve the economy? Yeah, now COVID has come up, and you realize that in agriculture, if you prioritize in agriculture, you're going to do good. Prioritize on agriculture. If you prioritize industrialization, you do good in industrialization, prioritize on it. But don't bring in something and it comes like a bomb. You're just maybe putting there, just throwing you want to go fishing, but you don't know how to fish, or you don't know where to start from. So if you prioritize the areas that you know, if I work on these areas, the economy is going to improve, then why don't you work on those areas, focus on those areas, work on them, because such areas will improve other areas. Because if now you improve on the economy, you will have tackled part of the employment of many young people who are not employed as for now. If you people on the health sector, then you are increasing the lifespan of Ugandans, increasing the well-being of Ugandans. So I think the government in this socio-economic transformation, they ought to look for the areas where they can prioritize in, and they say, if we look at these areas, our economy can improve. And then they also, if they prioritize, they work on the implementation strategy.
Interesting. So if you are the president, let's hypothetically just think about this. If you're the president, what would be your top priority areas?
That is a big seat. Yeah, if I was the president, I'll first come from the legal part of, because from my profession, I'll first focus on rule of law, democracy, human rights. Then you strengthen and then respect the other institutions. Let's say the judiciary. Judiciary makes rulings against the government, or makes because there's also judgment law. They come up with very reasoned judgments. Enforce them. Don't say judiciary is fighting me. Enforce what they have told you, because they know if you enforce it, they will bring results. If respect the parliament. If they're having the discussion, don't bring in the army. If they're having a discussion and it's hard hitting you, yes, accept, because you did a mistake. They're trying to correct you. So if you strengthen the institutions, government, the enforcement, the part of the government, and the judiciary and then the parliament, then if I become the president, if I'm the president anyway, then I would first focus on that rule of law and then democracy.
Won't you be risking? Won't you be risking to have to be among the most the presidents with the shorter term stay? Because the things you're talking about in Africa tend not to favor someone to stay in power for that long.
No, if then I'm getting I'm getting setbacks, then I know I'm the first African president who tried to enforce this, and then I got setbacks. But then others will start from there. Yeah.
Fair
and then
enough. Yes.
Yeah. Another area I would focus on is the economy, because it's because if you work on the economy, why tax Ugandans up the bone marrow? Because now every year they come with. I saw somewhere in the news that the minister for finance said Ugandans should work so hard so that they get more taxes. Yes, we work hard. They tax us every day, I think. But now, where is the money going? Because we don't see. I would have no problem being taxed if I see where what my money is doing. But I have a problem to be taxed. And then when I'm in Kampala, it's raining. It's like I'm swimming to the Victoria. All the potholes are like everywhere. So the economy, they have to work on the economy. I work on the economy. Then I would say youth. Of course, I'm a youthful president, so I have to first consider my sector. I work on the youth, working on 78% of the Ugandan population. What I know is that the youth are very innovative and creative people, and very vibrant people and energetic. If you empower the youth, not about the political empowerment so that they start making noise for you when you're campaigning, no. Give them opportunities, train them in how to run the businesses, innovations.
Skilling.
People innovate, skilling. People are innovating. People are building apps. People are building various sort of amazing things. And they are youth. You read about people in Nigeria, youth inventing something very important, and then you reach to Uganda, where our youth, they are just making noise around in political campaigns. So I focus, because when you focus on the youth, then they run everything. Everything will be smooth for them. Then regional trade. I think very few people can realize that regional trade is very important. Because now there is African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes.
That's a wide area. That's a wide market. Because now, if you're Ugandan and then you're trading with Nigeria, you're trading with someone in Morocco, you're trading with someone in Egypt, that will be very important because you're widening your market. You're getting a lot of money.
That's
Money is
about
coming
1.3 billion people.
Because if you have a market of 1.3 billion people, what else do you need? So if you look at regional trade, then I would work on East Africa. East Africa integration is very important. Because now for us Uganda, we need Kenya and Tanzania because they're on the border. We don't have a border here. I mean, don't have they're on the lake, they're on the ocean. So our area, our goods first pass there. We need them. So these things of fighting on the border, don't being in your maize, don't being in the sugar canes, blah blah, those things don't work. So I would, if I were president, I would I would work on regional integration and international trade so that we get more things, a lot of products of Uganda going out to the rest of the world, so that we can also get other products coming in, so that we improve on our trade as a country. So those would be my 4 areas of priority.
4 areas. One of our colleagues, Annette, says that I think it's also important that you talk about increasing the tax base, the economy, but you also must work on reducing the wasteful expenditure that I think this government is accustomed to. The trips of benchmarking. You have very many advisors you hardly see or you hardly meet. You have very many structures of leadership that you have a very bloated parliament. I think now we are going to be having an excess of over 500 something. MPs, they don't even have where to sit. They are talking about hiring where to sit. It's quite. Yes, so patronage is becoming a cost to the taxpayer. So I think and it has a very big point here, is making that, well, it's one thing to collect the taxes, but it's another thing to put the taxes to good use. But I get it. I get you to 5 priority areas. So in this case, let's first focus on the youth briefly here and pack it here. What are the expectations? Because for me, I'm not a youth, so I may be having different expectations from this regime. But what are the expectations of a youth? Yes, Eddie Kainda is talking about the economic stimulus must be real to improve. It must be feasible to improve fiscal management and expand the monetary policy, regulate banking and improve the velocity of money. That's an economist there speaking. But back to you, as a youth, because me, I'm not a youth, and I can tell you if I pick the manifesto of NRM, I would pick the things that probably appeal to me, depending on where I am. But speak for the youth. What should the president deliberately focus on to address the plight? Because I know unemployment is one of the issues. Although it talks about industrialization, it's one of the issues.
From the youth perspective, I think that the president, first of all, he should appreciate that the youth are also important in this country. Because on many occasions he has underlooked the youth. I would be frank on that. You should first acknowledge that the youth are also important. They can contribute to the economy. Yes, he has brought in the Youth Livelihood Fund. There is Emyoga, and then there is a parish development model. So he should, because because I read the parish development model, it will be run by, it will be supervised by the chief administrative officer.
Yes, Carl.
Carl, to run the issues of the youth. So and I know every district has a youth council. Why shouldn't you put the youth to run their own projects? Because if I run the project of the youth, I know these people need this, these people want this will behave like this will behave like. Because the cow will come, you reason the cow out, he runs out of the ideas, he starts saying the youth in this area are indisciplined, are your people power people, you're just here to disorganize me, and then he'll call off the fund. So, but if he appoints someone who understands the youth, the youth views and ideas,
the needs of the youth, the understanding of the youth. Yes.
Yes. If you point now, because I remember now, for the youth we have our own MP in Parliament.
Yes.
Why can't you appoint that one as a youth minister?
You actually have 5 MPs.
Yes. Why can't you get that one as youth minister? We have a National Youth Council, though I don't know what its importance of. I don't understand it. Why don't you include it in policy? Because I don't know what they do, sincerely. Why don't you include them in the policy making? Your design, because one of the things when you're designing a policy, you have to include the stakeholders. In this, the stakeholders being the youth. Because now they will say we want to consult the youth. They'll not go there. They just sit somewhere, design something, and then come. Because the best of my knowledge, I've never been consulted on any project concerning the youth. So what they should do, they should appoint youth to run youth projects. That's something they have to focus on, because you cannot rely on a cow who is 60, 70 something years old, and then you say you deliver something to the youth. Yeah, that's what I can say, to streamline the youth. Put the youth to run their own things. If they make mistakes, they will run the hard way. Then they will not blame you. But if they do very quality work, then why don't you keep on employing them in their projects? Yeah, that's what they can do.
Fair enough. Basically, they should have confidence in the youth. Okay, our time is fast spent, so we are coming towards the end of our show. It's a very interesting discussion here. You can follow us on our Facebook page, and then also for us on our Twitter handle at ACFIM UG. Facebook page is ACFIM, and also on our YouTube channel. What the 2021 elections, by and far, is that I must say, I think that about the common denominator of our elections, especially the ones of 2021, you can say they were highly divisive, quite highly militarized, quite violent in nature. They left a sour taste to some. We saw some unprecedented happenings. Internet was switched off. So basically, Uganda voted in the dark. I might put it that way for someone who is in the dictator era. There were riots that led to deaths. Up to now, they are not properly accounted for. People are still languishing in prisons. We have a country, I must say, it's a bit still divided. We are struggling to move on from these elections. And even when you saw the events that led to the swearing in, you could sense that the country seems to be struggling to move forward. So how would you address what should be done? How can we move past this and move forward as a country, as a state, now that we have a government that has been sworn in?
I don't think if this government would buy the idea of reconciliation, but that would be the best idea. But I'm not imagining Honorable Chagulanyi sitting with President Museveni in one room to reconcile, because that would be the best thing to move on. Right? Because now, if the Interreligious Council of Uganda and I know we have the Elders Forum. If they can come together and then they organize a reconciliation session. I remember there's one they tried to organize with Dr. Kiza Besigye. I don't think it worked, and I think since then I've never organized any other. But in my opinion, reconciliation can work, and then we know we come to an understanding that yes, things didn't work out as we expected. Those wanted change, a new president did not work. Those wanted President Museveni to continue is here. So, but now one thing we're all Ugandans, let's now focus on improving our country. We leave politics aside, then we focus on Uganda first, and then other things come later. So if we have that in our mind, then we can see that we can go forward. Then another thing, the government, I urge the government to consolidate, because I remember you are 11 presidential candidates, and each candidate had a manifesto. So if every candidate can submit his or her manifesto to the government sees their NRM manifesto vis-a-vis other manifestos, and see what can we bring or what can we borrow from these candidates' manifestos. We incorporate them in our manifesto so that we can run the country as Uganda, not running the country as if it's an NRM country, but Uganda as Uganda. So that bring togetherness. It will create, because if I belong to NUP and I had read our manifesto and I see this was NUP's idea, is being implemented by NRM, what problem do I have? I know our idea is being worked on by the government. So those two things, reconciliation and togetherness, and also respect for one another.
Respect for one another. Okay. As we come to a close, this is my last question, that you also wrap up with your parting shots. The comments the president made about the West, castigating them of meddling in the affairs of Africa and what's your take concerning the foreign policy and how we relate within the international politics?
That is an interesting one, and President Museveni has been quoted on various occasions saying that, and I don't think it's only President Museveni. President Kagame has also said that let Africa run Africa's business. Those Europeans, they should go, because we don't interfere in their affairs, it will not interfere in our affairs. But you see, we are in this era of neo-colonialism, and neocolonialism has caused many issues. So you may find that you need a European Union to help you on this thing. But now, where I can fault say that the international community is that yes, they're supposed to do checkups and other things, but they should not now go to focus on many things that they're not supposed to be focused on. If you say there are no human rights, yeah, suppose because I know they're supposed to do the monitoring and other things because I think they sign some agreements, but now sometimes they go beyond, and then they are going beyond in a country where the president is a Pan-Africanist. He is a Pan-Africanist, the one who is in Africa. So that is very hard, and I don't think it will be, because even you see where they were seated, how the chairs were in and the chairs they were having. So that was a message that you people, this is Uganda, let's run our own things. But I think they need each other. They should stop this, because I think they need us, and we also need them. So if we come together and then say we need us, so let's address this and not go beyond this, and that one can work up, and then it's all about discussion.
And you called them idiots. Anyway, so what are your parting shots? What are your parting shots?
Pardon?
What are your parting shots? Your conclusion remarks, yeah.
My conclusion remarks is, first of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here and to discuss this topic, which many people love to discuss, but it was me to discuss it. I would like to thank you for that, and I think electioneering is done, fighting is done. Now let us focus on building Uganda. Okay. Because we need the country, it's our country. Even if you go out, you come back here. This is your country, you have nowhere to go. So if you focus on building Uganda, whether you're in NOP, you're in JEMA, you're in ANT, you're in FDC, but you want to, that fighting of, you rig the elections, that is done. So let us focus on building Uganda, and then, but also they should work on Kampala portals.
Okay, work on Kampala portals. That's a very interesting one. Okay, thank you so much. That has been Muganga Ambrose Ibabaza, who is a member of the Youth Connekt Uganda, an initiative under the UN in partnership with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, sharing his candid thoughts and discussions around what should we expect in the newly sworn in government. And your host has been Felix Kafuma for this edition of ACFIM Talks. Thank you for being part of this. Once again, I wish you a great week. We'll meet again next week, same time. Bye-bye. God bless. Let's go and work. Time for electioneering is over.
Yeah.
The monster of money politics is eating up Uganda's democracy. When you take money from a candidate, it means you are feeding the monster. Then you become a part of the problem. When a candidate who overspends on campaigns is elected, he or she will not represent voters but himself. He or she will engage in corruption to recover campaign money. Social services will not be delivered and the voter will suffer more. Voter, let's be wise. Give democracy a chance. Do not sell your vote. Focus on the issue.